Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, I wanted to talk about the ways that the universe tries to test you and pull you towards the spiritual journey that everybody eventually finds himself in. Now, there are many ways that the universe tries to do this, but the major ways are 7 in number. So, the first way is childbirth. When you see that a child is born, when you see that it grows in a manner that is happening, in a manner that is a movement towards its growth, in a manner that is distinct, in a way that you have looked at your own life. See that this child is born and it is growing like a tree. It is happening. It is a constant transformation. It is moving from one state to another state, and you see it growing. You see life growing. In a third person perspective, you see it. This is where most people turn towards spirituality or religion. This is when they realize that maybe life has something more. That maybe life is something more than what you were thinking about life as. Because now you're looking at something from a third person perspective. Then you look at yourself from this perspective, from the view that a parent looks at a child. Because you were a child too. Now there is a shift in you. You start to look inwards. You start to look at yourself from this third person perspective. You start to look in the mirror and you start to wonder about how you were when you were a child. And the more you see how you were when you were a child, the more you see your child, the more you see that your life was a happening. It was a continuous happening. And in that moment you understand that there may be something more to life. That maybe the spiritual people were right. Maybe the religion was right. And this realization does not negate the rationality that you have in your life. Instead, it brings depth to your life. It brings an openness to your life, a different perspective to your life. The master inside you awakens, and the emissary is seen to be an emissary. The chatter that your whole life was, the chatter that the left brain was projecting at you, the desires that you had, all of these are seen as the desires of an incident, a desire of a happening. And when you see this, the part of the brain, the right part of the brain, it activates, takes you towards initiation into a spiritual path. And all initiation in spiritual path is good. It doesn't matter the outward appearance, doesn't matter. The happening inside is what matters. The second thing that can happen in our life is calamity. When you encounter calamity, when you encounter a deep life-threatening situation, when you encounter something that shakes you from the core, a shift occurs in your mind, a shift occurs in your perspective. You have never thought of life in that way. You've never been close to death that much. You always thought that people die. You never considered your own death. And when you start considering your own death, you start questioning. This leads us to another part, that is questioning. Some people get initiated into spiritual path in the easiest way possible, and that is questioning. When you question about yourself, when you question about existence, this can happen in deep moments of aloneness. This can happen in deep moments of being lonely. This can happen in deep moments of purposelessness and deep moments of depression. You will be able to see, you will be able to question things. And the question of who am I or what the world is resonates something deep inside you. The question of who am I is so profound at that moment that you see the profoundness of this question and you wonder what that profoundness was, and it leads you into years and years of questioning, to years and years of seeking the answer to this question, who am I? But surely this happens in a very critical stage of your life. And this is the way that universe tries to pull you towards the inward journey that everybody will eventually find himself in. The inward journey is not to be taken lightly. It is a real journey. The outward travels that you have had till now, the journey for the desires, the journey for the money, the journey for power, the journey for children, the journey for partners, and all these desires that you have now probably accomplished, you see that they lead you nowhere. Then you will start seeking the divine. You start questioning. Then again, it takes you a while to actually be established in spirituality, because you have gathered a lot of trash. But you go inside and you look at every aspect of your life, at every personality, at every identity, and you look at them very closely, try to change them. You look at your inwards like you look at the outwards. You look at every identity that you have created. You look at every action and its results. You look at the aspects of yourself that were hidden. You look at the fears that you have. You look at the desires that you have. You look at your own insecurities. And by in this spiritual journey, you go through every fear that you have. You go through every insecurity that you have. You go and face that snake. You see your fears face to face, and you face them. This is not a peaceful process, but eventually you will find that all the fears have subsided now. That you are now able to access a source of peace that was always there in every experience. Now you are able to access the self, which is closest to God. There is again a fourth phase that can lead you towards the inward journey. The fourth phase is suffering. When you understand that the world is suffering, when you understand that the world is temporary, it is impermanent, that everything in this world is going to fade, everything that you have gathered, your beauty, your body, your health, your desires, your happiness, everything is impermanent. And when you understand this and when you grasp the truth of this, and you see that there is suffering in this world and everybody is suffering, no matter what they have accomplished, when you see that the person you have idealized for so long is also deeply suffering, when you see that the politician that you have voted for is also deeply suffering, when you see this, when you understand that there is constant suffering in the world, and when this ripens inside you, when this realization truly occurs inside you, you will start your spiritual journey. You will start to look inwards where you should have looked before. The fifth phase is the phase where you understand that life exists alongside death, that there is death looming at your doorstep, that at every moment death can grasp at you. The death is not there somewhere out there. The death is not something that happens to everybody else. The death can happen to you. When you grasp this, when you understand this, when you see yourself dying day to day, you start to move towards something that is eternal inside you. And that movement towards the eternal is the spiritual journey. And then there is another way that the universe tests you. And these tests happen to you at phases in your life. The another way is accomplishment of desires. When you accomplish all of your desires, you see that all of these were of his heart, that they never really accomplished anything, that whatever you were trying to seek was illusory. You have gathered money now, you have bought a house for yourself, you have married, you have kids. Even then there is something that is empty inside you. Why is there emptiness? You should be satisfied by now. Why are you unsatisfied? You see, you see this, that after even accomplishing all of your desires, that the society has told you are the means to happiness. You see that this is not leading you anywhere. Then you start a journey. Then you go inwards. Start to move towards the eternal. The eternal that was always residing inside you. So the quicker you start towards the spiritual journey,